This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Welcome to Red Panda Report. Buckle up for two-fisted pulp action as I talk about the terrific twosome of Toronto. Red Panda Adventures episode 32 is an interesting one. Here's the copy, written by Greg Taylor, the writer and director of The Red Panda, and also the voice of the Red Panda. Here we go. With that pompous pirate of the pen known only as the Poet on the loose, it was only a matter of time before clues in couplet form started sprouting up all over the city, each promising new crime, more fiendish than the last. But Baxter's Law says when the Goonie birds start changing their tune, there's usually something else going on. Will the Red Panda find the key to the villainous verse in time, or will the city and its masked protectors fall before the terrible two? So, this episode involves the poet, and it actually involves the poet. This episode was released March 22nd, 2008, and it's episode, I can't remember which, of season 3. So, anyway, we're a good deal through season 3. Oh, it's pretty close to the end, and I didn't realize that. How interesting. Oh, no, it's somewhere in the middle. Anyway, doesn't matter. Right now, I want to talk about what was so good, what was so interesting about this episode. It does involve the poet, but it also involves another criminal, actually 2 other criminals. And it's zany, and it's probably one of the funnier episodes there is, at least the interactions towards the end. There's a little bit of the silliness of the humor, in particular this one joke of, you just came right out and told him, from Kit, or from Flying Squirrel. And it fell a little bit flat for me, but I think the actress's performance, Clarissa Landon Taylor, her performance was good enough she made it work. I mean, I'm not sure what else Taylor could have done at that point with the line as far as what he wrote, but she definitely knocked it out of the park and made it work, made it sing, even though in ordinary circumstances I would have been frustrated with that line or the way that was written. Anyway, I'll get to the point because I got to make this quick. I really liked this episode. It was a lot of fun. And in this one, we learn apparently that the Mad Monkey is kind of hunky because Jackrabbit has fallen in love with him. And they are the terrible two that are spoken of in the title. They are the eponymous terrible two of this episode. And the Mad Monkey has this obsession, this mania where he wants to be the Red Panda's rival. And he sees himself as this great equal of Red Panda. And it's interesting because he has this hypnotic power over monkeys, I don't know. I can't remember monkeys or apes, but baboons specifically are what he uses for the most part, including Beauregard, his most faithful and oldest simian partner, or whatever you want to call him. I was trying to come up with an alliteration, but I couldn't. Simian sympathizer? Maybe that works. Anyway. And Beauregard kind of gets to play the third wheel between Jackrabbit and Mad Monkey when she's trying to put her moves on him, basically. And it's funny because he is unaware of what her intentions are. He doesn't understand what's going on. And when she's trying to seduce him, he's like, oh, you better put a robe on or something. You're going to catch cold, which is hilarious. And it's really interesting because there's this parallel between Kit and Red Panda and Jackrabbit and Mad Monkey. And I don't know, it's interesting, like on a story level, it's interesting that idea of this like romance blossoming between them and the fact that this lady in both cases is working with this guy because she's in love with him, wants to get closer to him. And it's just kind of funny how you have that parallel going on there. And it doesn't feel like a cheap parallel. It feels, I don't know, it feels significant. It feels kind of pointed. It feels like, it feels good. It feels like thematically resonant, or not thematically resonant, but it feels real and it feels resonant, and it's fun because it gives them one more way to relate to each other that Jackrabbit doesn't realize. And we get to see way more clearly that Kit, based on the Red Squirrel episode before and based on this, that there's definitely a potential for the two of them to end up together. And if they don't, that her relationship with Red Panda as, coworkers or whatever will have had such a deep impact on her that it's going to definitely affect her in such a strong way that she'll have a granddaughter or great-granddaughter or whatever who will become somebody who learns hypnosis and becomes a crime fighter and takes inspiration from the Red Panda as well as, the Flying Squirrel. And that's pretty interesting. I like what it's seeding. I like this relationship. At the end of it, the poet does show up, and he shows up because the verses that Mad Monkey is using are so bad that It's obvious that it's not the poet, and he apparently was doing that because he knew that the Red Panda would know that it wasn't actually the poet, but he didn't think the poet would get involved. Red Panda was sure that the poet would get involved, and he ends up coming in and causing problems. But then Jackrabbit basically gives herself up because she loves Mad Monkey and she doesn't want him going to jail. And then she declares that to him, and then he gives himself up and he goes to jail. And also, the poet went to jail on purpose. He surrendered himself so that he could clear his name and let the public know that he wasn't a terrible poet, and that the poetry that Mad Monkey was writing for him wasn't actually his. So it's very interesting. It's like playing on his vanities. It's playing on the bizarre relationship between these villains and how it kind of parallels the relationship between Red Panda and Flying Squirrel and how oblivious he is to her. And it was a lot of fun. And it's just like, I don't know. He's I put a little title card on this episode on the thumbnail for YouTube that says Manic Monkey Dreamboat, because apparently Mad Monkey is just so alluring and so attractive to Jackrabbit that she's, fallen for him and she's in love with him and she'll do anything, even go to jail. And when he finally hears what her feelings are for him, he's smitten and he falls in love, and oh, my love, or we'll go out handcuff, our heads held high, nothing can separate us because of our love, or whatever. And it's just really funny how that turns out. It's a funny thing to do with the villains, and it also it kind of makes you hopeful that something similar is going to happen with Red Panda and Flying Squirrel. If you're like me, if you don't like them as a couple, that's okay too, but that's how it makes me feel. And it was a lot of fun. It was a funny episode, and there was a lot of cute stuff going on in it, and a lot of more laying groundwork for the future. And I think we'll see a return of the Jackrabbit and Mad Monkey pairing. I actually know that we will, but I think we will. It feels like we will, and it feels like it should be interesting. And who knows what will happen? Let me know what you thought of this episode if you checked it out. And if you haven't, you should definitely check it out. It's a fantastic episode, fantastic show. And that's it for now. Check out all the other stuff I'm doing. On the Fortress Fiction channel, I'm covering some manga now. Kamuto, which is a really cool, interesting manga. It's fantasy with these demi-humans, or demi-beings. They're like part animal, part beast. Part animal, part human. And they have this whole society, this world that's dying. And then this human with just like a dragon hand and some other stuff on him emerges from this egg. And he might be the savior of the world. It's written by Akira Himekawa, who is the mangaka team who did the 10 volumes of the Zelda manga, generally speaking, and then like the 11 or 12 volume Twilight Princess, Zelda the Twilight Princess manga. So you should definitely check that out. The art is stunning. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I hope the story is going to be an epic, family-friendly fantasy. That's what it feels like it's going to be, and I would absolutely love that. Also, I think erroneously on Red Panda Report, I recently was talking about Bob Kane and Bill Finger, or I only mentioned Bill Finger, and I mentioned Bill Finger as the bad guy. Bob Kane is the guy who didn't contribute as much to the Batman mythos as he could have, and took a lot of credit for it. Bill Finger was actually the stronger partner and the more creative partner in that relationship on Batman. You can look up Bill Finger and Bob Kane on and how they relate to Batman, and see who you like better, basically. You investigate it yourself and figure out who you like better in that relationship and that creative partnership. I hope you enjoyed that. Like, share, and subscribe. I invite you to comment, ask questions, and share your thoughts with me. It's always more fun when you're part of the conversation. Until next time, be well and hold high the lamp of justice. Visit mjmunoz.com for more of my work and help me build up the Fortress Fiction.